Okay, I'm getting ready to final wash this block. I've got a bucket of hot soapy water. I've got some hot soapy water in a spray bottle. I've got a brush kit. I don't remember where I bought the brush kit, Amazon or Jegs or Summit, but you can buy a brush kit for cleaning engines. I've got another bottle of WD-40. I've got my air compressor pumped up. I've got the hose ready. And I've got a leaf blower up there. One video I watched suggested that a leaf blower does a better job of drying your block off than even the air compressor. So I'm going to start with the lifter bores and then probably the oil galleys, and then work top to bottom. I will probably flip it end for end and do it a second time, and then rinse it all off. I have to rinse it with cold water because I don't have hot water available for rinsing. I'm not going to spend much time on the water jackets other than to just try to... Okay, I've finished this. That wet look you're seeing is not water. It was sprayed heavy with WD-40. I took the air hose and blew it off, and then also used a leaf blower and blew the water off. And then I sprayed it heavy several times with WD-40, getting into all the holes, all the nooks and crevices. Good morning. Welcome to a sunny day in Ohio. It's the middle of March, and we got some sunshine today. Supposed to get up to around 70 degrees. That's kind of rare normally, and it has been pretty gray and gloomy out. We got a sunny day, and I get to work on my engine block, so it's a good day. Yesterday I final washed this block and got it dried off and sprayed it down good with WD-40. Today I'm going to put in my cam bearings, test fit my cam, and hopefully get these core plugs in too. There's a lot of controversy on locating oil holes for the cam bearings, and I've studied on this quite a bit, but from my study, what it all comes down to is whether your block has an oil groove that goes all the way around like this one does. Mine has this oil groove that goes all the way around, not just on the end journal, but you can see all the journals have this oil groove next to the oil hole. If your block does not have that oil groove next to the oil hole, then you have to line the hole in the cam bearing up with the hole in the block. Otherwise, you won't get any oil to your cam. But if you have that oil groove, that allows you to clock your bearings to maximize what they call a hydrodynamic wedge of oil at the bottom of the camshaft to support it. And the best video I found on this was on YouTube. The username is DragSlick, D-R-A-G-S-L-I-C-K. I found his video to be the best, give the best, most sensible information to me. I also went to the website of the manufacturer of the bearings I'm using, dura-bond, and they have this PDF file. I'll try to remember and put a link in the description below. But this is how I'm going to install my cam bearings. Now keep in mind, this chart is with the block right side up. I'm actually, and most people install their cam bearings with the block upside down. So all you have to do is orientate the chart the other direction. And this is how I'm going to install my cam bearings, and let's get started. Alright, before I go any further, I want to make sure I do not forget this hidden galley plug. So I'm going to install it with a little bit of red Loctite and get that off my mind just so I don't have to worry about it. Using a little bit of cleaner here just to clean off the oil, just to make sure this Loctite does its job. There's my oil hole. I line it up with the 8 o'clock and make a mark on the outside of my bearing. At the 12 o'clock position. And you can see, I hope, that these bearings have a camphor or chamfer on both the outside and the inside. These are dura-bond bearings, and the instructions that I showed earlier that I'll post a link to are from dura-bond. Okay, now I'm lining my mark on that bearing. I'm trying to line it up with the groove in the and then since this main journal, the rear main journal does not have an oil hole at 12 o'clock, but there is a piece of casting in here that gives you a visual reference that you can use to line that up. And just want to swell my tool up a little bit inside that. Okay. Okay, we're started, we're lined up good. Next thing is I just got to make sure I get it in the correct distance. Again, this is the first time I've done this, so I'm going to take it slow and careful and try not to mess up. Getting very close. Again, I'm checking this on both sides. Looks like I gotta go about another 1/8 inch or 1/16. Alright, we're done. We're done on that bearing. Okay, I'm getting ready to install the number 4 cam bearing now. I have to insert my tool because since 3 and 4 use the same cam bearing, there's no way to get this tool through number 3 with the cam bearing on it. So I insert my tool, then I put my cam bearing down in this direction, and then once it's down in that cam tunnel, then I'll rotate it and get my mark lined up where I want it to be, and then start installing this. Okay, now I gotta take it out and check it. These next 3 should be easier because pretty much they just have to be centered. The same amount of space on both sides, and that will make sure the oil hole is lined up. Now, I know some guys put this last bearing in with a little short driver. Maybe that comes as part of the really expensive kit. I'm going to install mine from the back of the block coming forward. That's good and solid. The last cam bearing has 2 holes in it, and you want those at 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock when the bearing is right side up, or when the block is right side up. So you install it with it at 6 or 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Okay, I wanted to weigh the test and make sure that I've got these cam bearings located over the oil grooves. I'm reasonably sure, but again, never having done it before, just trying to be extra cautious. And the idea I came up with is to take an oil can with some oil and squirt it in these main journal holes, and because the hole runs from the main journal down to the cam and then around the cam bearing, if I squirt enough oil in this main journal hole, it should come out my cam bearing without any obstruction or anything. That will also help flush out any metal shavings that might be in there. I've already tried it on the first one and everything went fine. I'm going to try to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. Alright, there we go. That is showing the number 2 cam bearing from the front. Get my oil can set. You can see we've got oil. Okay, the final thing I'm going to do is test fit my cam. I have not washed this cam, but all I'm doing is testing it to make sure that my cam bearings are in straight, and then it's going to spin freely, that there's no binding. So I'm going to very gently insert my cam. So far I'm very pleased. screwdriver to use as a handle. I understand now why they don't put in this rear seal until after the camshaft is in. It makes it much easier to reach through that back hole where the rear plug goes. But oh, I'm so pleased. I was really worried about this, having never done it before, but it went in. I will still check clearances, but it feels really good. It spins very freely by hand, and it went in just fine. So I think we're good. I'm going to take this cam back out, put it back in the bag and box until we're ready for it. And I think that's all I'm going to do for today. And tomorrow we will put core plugs in. I'm using Engine Tech core plugs, part number PK1B. I'm using this Permatex aviation former gasket, seal it around the outside. My intention is to put it on the outside of the core plug and then drive the plug in. That way any excess will be on the outside of the block. If I were to coat the inside of the opening and drive the plug in, the excess would go inside the block. Okay, I'm learning as I go. I bought this nice little installation and removal kit. I did try it and gave it a fair shot. I don't like it. If I had a straight handle that's screwed onto the installation tools, I think it would be just fine, but I can't use this angle bar. It just, I cannot get the core plugs to start straight. There are some say don't use a socket because it puts the pressure on the inside of the core plug, and they say the pressure should be out here on the outside, and that's what this kit does. But too much sticky stuff. without the handle to drive, this by itself is useless. I can take and put that on the core plug and then use the socket to start it. But even that is somewhat cumbersome and they tend not to start straight. The easiest way I've found is to use a socket to get it started, then to put this on, and that gives me my edge to know how far to drive it in. It stops flush, but there is a little bevel around the inside, and sometimes I want it a little deeper and you can't get it deeper with this, so I find myself using the socket to tap it in just a little bit further. So I'm going to say at this point, if I didn't already have this kit, I would just use the socket to install core plugs. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and install my cam tunnel plug. I wanted to wait and do it after the camshaft was installed so I could reach back through the back to help get the camshaft up into this last bearing. If I put the camshaft in now and install this plug, then it's going to make it more difficult to get it back on the engine stand. Worry about the camshaft, shifting position, maybe scratching something up. So I'm going to go ahead and install this cam tunnel plug so that I can get this mounted on the engine stand, and then I'll get my camshaft and crankshaft installed. I am going to use sealer on this. I know some people don't, but I don't want to risk a leak. From this leaking oil, and I'm going to apply it to the cam tunnel plug itself. That way, as I drive it in, any excess should be on the outside, and I shouldn't push. If I were to put it on the block, then driving this in might actually push some of this sealant up onto the bearing. But by putting it on the cam tunnel plug, when I drive it in, any excess should be on the outside of the block and should not make its way to the bearing. I will probably take some acetone and wipe off the inside of that bearing anyway after I drive this, just to be safe. I'm using an 1.5 inch socket for this. That fits this plug nicely. I find acetone cleans up this Permatex Aviation Forma gasket that I'm using. Clean the spot on my rag, and I'm going to use some acetone to clean that bearing on the inside, just in case any got on there. and then I'll spray it with WD-40 again. And with that, I've got my hidden galley plugged in and sealed. The 3 oil galleys in the back are done. The 3 oil galleys in the front are done. 2 of those, the outside 2 on the front for the lifter valleys, have a .020 hole drilled through them to allow air to escape, and we'll spray a little bit of oil on the back of the timing chain. So I'm ready to put this back on the engine stand.